Interstellar is a stellar film, back in movie theaters in December 2024 for a 10-year anniversary run only on IMAX screens around the nation. This is a seminal movie in modern movie making, in my opinion. And so we want to take a look at this film, dive into it, and investigate it further. First, we'll talk about the re release, and then we'll get into the aspects of the film itself that make it so great. So, looking here on Fandango, I went to see it this evening, December 11th, Thursday. No, sorry, tonight's Wednesday, December 11th. And just wanted to show kind of what the theaters look like a little bit as far as the tickets that were being sold. So, I live in Nashville proper, and so this screen would have been closer to me and my friend who were there with me, but even closer for her. But instead, it was sold out, and they had two screens. I don't know why they're not both showing, even though they're past their time. That's why it's grayed out. But this is both of these are past their start times. We went to the 3 o'clock showing, and they are grayed out, but they're still showing here. But what was listed in the listings before tonight was that the movie was only going through Thursday. There were no listings. When tonight was the last night listed until now. Now they've got it listed through next week. So I thought this was going to be the end of the run, that it was only a 1 week run. But let's see what the seating looks like already for Tuesday. So now they've got different times. They've only got one showing at Opry Mills, and this other place is in Franklin, which is a city just south of Nashville. All right. So you can see that there's a good amount of seating here, but it hasn't sold out. So, and the reason we didn't go to the Opry Mills one, where it's all blue, are available seats, and the ones that are X'd out, it's kind of hard to see. It's really small, are seats that have been taken. So you can see the ones in the middle, kind of up in the range where you like to normally sit, are already taken at this particular showing. When we were looking to try to go earlier this week, even a couple days out, everything except the first 2 rows were taken, and even then there were only a few seats on the first 2 rows. So people are really going out to see this movie. Let's see if people have already started buying for Friday showings. It's a bit more, but yeah, it's already started buying up here. And this is the weekend box office from this past weekend. And Interstellar beat out 2 other new releases. One starring Rachel Zegler, who's going to be the new Snow White, and was the star of the Hunger Games. And Interstellar pulled double the revenue of that film. It also beat out 3 other new releases: Solo, Leveling, Reawakening, for King and Country. But the amazing part is it did it with only 165 screens. Again, this is an IMAX exclusive event, so you have to go to an IMAX theater to see it. It has 1/5 as many screens as this Solo Leveling, and still did double the revenue almost. It's like 90% less screens than this movie. This one has, uh, wow, it's just so, it's so much more. I can't even do the math that quick in my head. It's crazy. This is a testament to the craftsmanship of this film and the interest that people have in it. Interstellar takes us on a journey of visual, sound, science, and emotion, and more. With sci-fi as its backdrop, in the foreground, this film is a tale of love and loss, hope and humanity. It's a father and daughter story, with 2 sets of father-daughters displayed. It's also about family and sacrifice, wrapped up in a scientifically based space adventure and time warp dilemma. This film captures all of these human emotions and projects them through scientific decision points, which would seem to be decisions that need to be made cold and calculating, purely based on logic and fact. But instead, each decision is made against emotional dilemmas and impositions of human instinct. Ultimately, Interstellar is about the most human of instincts: survival. But not just physical survival. Survival of one's spiritual and emotional being. Survival of the human connections that matter to us most. So let's go through some of these elements that we have just mentioned. The visuals of Interstellar are eye-pleasing and look natural. Space shuttle liftoffs look photographers cited, and shots of space, the many heavenly bodies are breathtaking and real-looking, with only light use of CGI to augment scenes, while dominantly using real locations, miniatures, practical effects. Director Christopher Nolan creates genuine environments that provide significant extra value to the film experience. Likewise, the sound engineering is of the highest order, particularly in IMAX audio. You don't just hear realistic engines and machinery, you feel the roar of the engines reverberating off your seat and through the floor. With those technical aspects of the film craft accounted for, we can take note of the technical veracity of the science in this sci-fi movie. Nolan is highly praised for the strong theoretical basis of the science integrated into the film. While there were some science purists who criticized some exaggerations of the effects of those theories, by far most, even in the science community, praised the interweaving of concepts of relativity, gravities, time distortions, and wormholes into a strong dramatic narrative. So now we get to what I care about most: film used for exploration of the human condition. There's a lot of seemingly ambiguous or unrelated stuff happening early in the movie. It might seem like some pointless or random happenings, but like a good first act, it's all set up. Some of it sets up the plot that will come into play later, like the books falling off from Murphy's bookshelf, while others of it is to set the emotional tone. Cooper's attachment to his children, especially in the absence of their deceased mother, more particularly the connection that Murph has to her dad. He encourages her intellectual inquiry. He defends her against school officials. When he tries to leave her behind for an overnight trip, she hides in the car so she won't be without him for even that time. So imagine how she's going to react to him leaving for outer space for years, maybe even decades. The love between Coop and his children is strongly demonstrated, along with the loss of security of all of their society has experienced, the loss of food security, the loss of economic security, and even the loss of physical ecological security due to being at the behest of dust storms and reduced oxygen as their planet is dying. Everyone in the Cooper house has also experienced the loss of the mother. Her father lost a daughter, Coop lost the love of his life, and the children lost their mom. The grief of it all still looms over the characters as the worry of survival for living plagues daily concerns. The discovery of a hidden NASA program to find a new inhabitable world brings hope to the situation, at least for the Cooper household that knows about it, as well as among those at the NASA station. Plan A: find a planet that current Earth's inhabitants can be transported to, and solve the gravity equation that could make this mass transportation of people and critical infrastructure possible before Earth dies. Plan B: just keep humanity going with the human embryos stored on the spaceship Endurance, for if they found an inhabitable planet on the other side of the wormhole. Humanity's frailties, or maybe their strengths in some situations, continue to clash against faithfully executing these plans, though. Coop, at least early on, made decisions based on getting back to his kids, rather than what's good for all of humankind. Dr. Brand wanted to go see her boyfriend on the planet closest to the black hole, despite all the negative impacts of that versus the alternative remaining planet. Dr. Romley almost calls it quits after 23 years alone on a space shuttle in orbit. Dr. Mann falsifies data to draw the Endurance crew to come rescue him, but his planet clearly had no habitation possibilities. Not to mention his attempt to murder Coop to effectuate his end goal. Professor Brand falsifies possibilities of solving the gravity equation to convince Coop and others of the Endurance crew to make the trek for the possibility of Plan A, when Plan B was the only possibility all along. The instinct for survival that Dr. Mann illuminates in his actions and his speech, as well as how love plays into that. How he denoted to Coop as he lay dying that his survival instinct would kick up another notch in his brain to fight to survive for his children. This love component is hit on prior to that also, with Dr. Brand being willing to risk everything and all to see the man she's still in love with, again on the planet closest to the black hole. These two objects of human experience, sometimes working together, sometimes working at cross purposes, are the driving forces of humanity illuminated in this film. Interstellar, a technical, sci-fi, and human experience masterpiece of a film.